Thank you, Contessa. The Democrats are letting Joe Lieberman keep his high-profile committee chairmanship, and many in the left-wing blog sphere are absolutely furious. In a phone call with bloggers, DNC Chairman Howard Dean defended the party's decision, saying, quote, "As objectionable as Joe's behavior was, and frankly unprincipled, I don't think that this is the thing that should divide us, and I don't think it's about his vote for FISA or anything else. What kind of tone do we want to set? Do we want to have a purge as the first thing we do? I don't think so." Well, with me now is Democratic strategist James Boyce. He is founder of cabinet.newsladder.net. That's a website dedicated to Obama cabinet news and rumors. And Ben Porrit, of course, is a Republican strategist and former spokesman for the McCain campaign. James, let me begin with you. Just how angry are liberal bloggers over the decision to let Lieberman stay in the caucus?
Well, I'm a liberal blogger myself, and I think it's a total and complete embarrassment. And I respect Chairman Dean very much, but he's dead wrong on this, as is the leadership in Washington. You know, when someone goes out and campaigns aggressively for your opponent and campaigns for Norm Coleman, you just had this segment about the recant. You know, Joe Lieberman went and campaigned for the Republican senator there and in Maine for Susan Collins. This shouldn't even have been a discussion. It should have been a two-word conversation between Harry Reid and Joe Lieberman should be gone. But it's not just about, this is what's wrong with Washington. Joe Lieberman's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's a Lieberman. He's in it for himself, and he's an embarrassment.
And it's interesting, too. I mean, I listened to what Rachel Maddow had to say, Keith Olbermann and others, and it is quite shocking when you consider the breadth of his work that he's sort of still in that position. Ben, before we get to you, I want you to listen to what Lieberman told Katie Couric last night.
You said on whether Senator Obama is a Marxist, you said, quote, "It's a good question to ask." Yeah. Are you sorry you said that?
Well, that's one of those things I wish I'd said more clearly. I mean, obviously, Barack Obama is not a Marxist.
Well, you said it's a good question to ask.
Well, yeah, but then I answered it and said, no, he's not a Marxist. I said at the time that he's somewhat to the left of me on some issues.
All right, Ben, I'm sure you've seen that commercial where, you know, the guy goes into the medicine cabinet and he's looking at the medicines and everything falls out and they say at the tagline, "Want to get away?" I mean, that was a want to get away moment for Joe Lieberman. He just looked like he was caught red-handed.
Well, you know, look, wherever Joe Lieberman stands on the political spectrum really isn't the issue here. And I think optically, this was actually a great move by Democrats. If the theme of this campaign and the results of this campaign was clearly bipartisanship, that's what American people want to see. That's what the voters voted for. And so for the first move for Barack Obama or the Democrats in the Senate to do is to move Joe Lieberman away from his position on committees because he sided with John McCain and he stood on his beliefs and core principles, that would have optically looked terrible and would have certainly not played towards the middle, which is where Barack Obama tried to position himself during the presidential campaign.
Okay, first of all,
James, you wanted to jump in there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Joe Lieberman doesn't have any core principles, Ben. That's part of the problem here. He's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's in it for himself. And the people of Connecticut, frankly, deserve better than having one of their two senators embarrassing himself with Katie Couric last night. It's not about bipartisanship. It's about change. And we need to change people like Joe Lieberman and get them out of Washington. And Ben, I'll ask you a simple question. If there was a Republican senator and he walked away from the Republican caucus and he supported Barack Obama and he raised money for Barack Obama and he said that Hamas endorsed John McCain and he went to the Democratic convention and spoke to him, you cannot tell me there would have been more than a 2-second conversation. That guy would be gone.
Here's what I can say. Unfortunately, we don't have that problem in our party. We would love to have that problem. We would love to be counting seats and being able to move people around, but we can't. I think that Joe Lieberman does have core principles, and I bet you would only have to go back to 2000. I bet you could only go back to 2000 where liberal bloggers and people on the left wing were praising Joe Lieberman as he was put on the ticket in the number 2. So this is funny that the whole Democratic Party under Barack Obama's wing came out and said we need change. We need to change the way we work in Washington. Exactly. We need to work across party aisles. And the first time that a Democrat stands up and says, you know what, my views are changing towards the middle, and they want to throw them out of the caucus. So I think it's a tad ridiculous. It's a tad disappointing.
Hey guys,
but
this is a great conversation. I'd love to let us keep it going here, but we're out of time. But good stuff. And quite frankly, the Republicans have actually been down this road before with Jump and Jim Jeffords. But, you know, it happens sometimes here inside the Beltway, and bipartisan partisanship, at least for the time being, appears to be the order of the day. James Boyce and Ben Porrit, fellas, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Still ahead.